Hey, how's everybody doing? It's me, Albatross. Okay, welcome back to Where Are the Children? And this is another heavy episode because, in case you haven't noticed, pretty much every single person that was running our country previously, hopefully not now, but at least previously for sure, is just like straight up evil, hates everybody, wants to see the world burn, not just America. Make no mistake, they want the world to burn. I mean, like, there's no excusing it. Hiding and suppressing anybody's pain or anybody's torment is evil. The way they did, the way they suppressed, and you know what, all of them, the way they all suppressed the missing children, and there's no sides. I know everyone wants to make a side on this, but really the conservative media is just as guilty as the liberal media. The liberal media a little bit more because they didn't cover it at all. However, the conservative media picks and chooses when they cover it. Like, it's odd. They only want to cover it when they're talking about, like, specifically the border issue, which I know is a huge issue in the child trafficking thing. But, like, it's they don't that like, even now they still don't talk about it. Even now, we know that there's at least 400,000 missing kids. Like, and if they found him, great. If they're looking for him, great. It would just be nice to know someone is. You know what I mean? And it's just frustrating. I'm not frustrated at the administration because honestly, we don't know what they're doing. They're answering questions that they're asked. I'm pissed off at the media and at the ones that they let into the press room that are not asking the right questions. No one's asking about the poor, innocent migrant. And it's funny. Since the left-wing media seems to act like they care so much about what they're doing to these immigrants and stuff, why haven't they asked about it? You know, it's like a taboo subject. Oh my God, they'll ask about everything else. Both of them, all of them, they ask about everything else. You know what I mean? Like, one will be, like, the conservative media right now is focused on gloating about winning and about their numbers rising as if that has somehow gained them credibility. But, they're just as bad. And then you got the other side, still pushing these very frustrating and unwinnable topics like men and trans girls in women's sports. And don't get me wrong, listen, I think you should be able to do what you ever want to do with your body. It's your body. You got one life. Live it how you want to live it. I have no problem with that. But let's not pretend like that particular thing that they were doing wasn't hurting regular women. Not to say that trans women aren't regular. You know what I mean? Like, it was hurting them. It was hurting them. Like, let's stop with the bullcrap here. Just face it. Like, the trans community got infiltrated by the deep state, just like every other organization has in the past. The liberal media and the the Democrat Party has, and the Republican Party was also infiltrated in the past, in case we all forgot. So, like, every organization, every party, every side has been infiltrated by the deep state. So we just need to let go of these, dumb arguments. Now, I'm going to get down off that soapbox for a minute, focus on the topic at hand, because there's a question, there isn't something that I noticed. And I don't know why I didn't notice it before. My brain never made the connection until recently. But there is a connection, in fact, with Alejandro Mayorkas and P. Diddy, believe it or not. And since everyone loves to talk about P. Diddy, I wanted to point out this connection to everybody. Because everyone, including myself, as far as, like, P. Diddy's concerned, has been thinking it's the wrong people. You see, I've been all up in all arms on BlackRock's case. Don't get me wrong. They've definitely profited from this. Make no mistake. However, I've overlooked some very important characters in all of this. Some very, very important characters in all of this. And it's just that the things that I've found are very interesting. And I don't know, it just really piqued my interest too, considering I saw in a headline about his lawyer quitting. And to be honest, I don't really know the details of that, so I won't comment much on that. It's just interesting how all hell seems to have broken loose as far as the Diddy case and the Jay-Z thing. And I said a while ago in one of my previous videos, I said this a long time ago. I firmly believe that Tony Busby is just another agent of chaos, just another plant there to collect victims and to kill their cases. And I don't know, I'm not saying that the recent events have proven me right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I get a point in my favor on that argument. Because not only has he dismissed the case on the Jane Doe lawsuit about the girl suing P. Diddy and Jay-Z, not only did he dismiss it totally, but he dismissed it with prejudice, meaning he can never, ever, 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 ever bring it up again. So, weird, right? That was really weird. So yeah, I always kind of believed that Tony Busby was a shady one. He reminds me very much of Saul Goodman. But anywho, okay, so there was a connection that I noticed. I mean, like, all that was kind of going on in the news. And as I was researching this video for Alejandro Mayorkas, right? And I noticed some peculiar dates, right? And I don't know why I never made the connection before. But, like, let's backtrack a little bit to almost a year ago. All the way back in early 2024. If we remember correctly, in March 26, 2024, time-stamped, what was going on? P. Diddy's house got raided, right? Like all three of them, or two something. Well, wait a minute. I've heard reports that his New York home got raided as well, but then most reports say it was just LA and Miami. So that's a bit unclear. It's a little weird. I'm not really sure if his New York home got raided or not. So I'm not really sure about that. It's conflicting reports on that. But anywho, the date, it really drew my attention. Because on that date, or like a month later, like exactly a month later almost, or like 3 weeks later, Alejandro Mayorkas attended his oversight hearing on the immigration status. And I thought, well, that's a little weird. That's like a month after. That's weird timing. I mean, keep in mind who raided Diddy's home. Who raided Diddy's home? It wasn't the FBI, right? And I remember at the time, everyone was saying, oh, they really got him dead to rights. It's Homeland Security doing it. They're above the FBI, so they really must got him dead to rights. And, and even at the time, myself, fall for it. I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's like no joke. But even myself forgot, wasn't thinking that the person in charge of Homeland Security just so happened to be Alejandro Mayorkas. So as I was researching for this video, another article came up, and it hit me like a grenade. Alejandro Mayorkas, in his interview, and I think I got it on this PowerPoint, which we'll get to in a second. He did an interview just a couple months ago, back in September 2024, when he was, talking about the election and all this other stuff. And the interviewer asked him about the P. Diddy case. And it was interesting. And I've actually got the article pulled up on my computer. I know you guys can't see it. It's from Politico on September 17th, 2024. The title of the article, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, was lead agency investigating Sean Diddy Combs, Mayorkas says. And then in the article, when he was being interviewed, Mayorkas said that the department worked closely with law enforcement in several jurisdictions during its investigation into the rapper. Well, isn't that interesting? But it's Senate hearing and all. His Mayorkas Senate hearing for his accountability, which, in my opinion, is what he was trying to distract from when the raids were going on. My opinion. He knew everyone would be talking about this. He knew, oh my God, and they did. We all did. It was like, what? Because, no one ever thought P. Diddy would ever face any accountability. Then all of a sudden, all of his houses are getting raided by Homeland Security. Right? Well, guess when Alejandro Mayorkas got his summons about this accountability hearing. It was exactly a month before P. Diddy's houses were raided. And as far as the world was concerned, and P. Diddy and none of us had any clue that his house was about to get raided. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe P. Diddy's part of all of this. Who knows? I'm willing to, honestly, anything's on the table at this point because of all the lies that have been told. And please don't misunderstand this video. I am not implying that P. Diddy's innocent in any measure, in any way whatsoever. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because birds of a feather flock together. And I think that, P. Diddy's, or Mayorkas, he's got he pretty much was running the biggest child trafficking industry in the country at this point. Right? And he had an accountability hearing coming up. And let's say theoretically, allegedly, he was running this whole child trafficking industry, right? Obviously, he would want some kind of distraction from it all when he would have to face accountability. And what better way to throw glitter in our eyes and razzle dazzle us than to have someone like P. Diddy, who had already seen all the headlines P. Diddy was getting. He'd already seen all that. From Cassie and so on, all the other lawsuits. So, it was and plus, Diddy was getting kind of deep with the liquor company and all that. So, what better opportunity? It's almost like killing two birds with one stone almost, But let's look at this. The summons. It says, February 29th, 2024. Accordingly, and given your disregard of our earlier voluntary requests, please find attached a subpoena. So, he knew that they wanted to conduct this oversight hearing for a while before this. He knew. Because they had asked him to come in on his own free will. And then they sent him a subpoena because he wasn't showing up. I'm just saying it's a weird connection, and I'm tired of believing in coincidences. Because the biggest coincidences of them all was that Mayorkas didn't give a crap. Didn't give a crap about the almost 400,000 missing kids that he allowed to come over here. He knew was coming here. Not only he knew it was coming here, he made it easier for them to get traffic by getting rid of all the vetting rules in place for these sponsors for these kids. But yet he's worried about P. Diddy, and we're supposed to believe that? I mean, none of us would have been surprised if they never went after P. Diddy, really. So, it's just something to think about. And then the fact that the attorney general, the prosecutor for Diddy's case happened to resign once he knew Trump got elected. Why? It's odd, right? They all wanted to jump ship, but they all, made the excuse that Trump would seek revenge and all this other stuff. Which, at the time I fell for that too. So, I mean, Trump can be pretty petty sometimes. So, I can understand why they'd be worried. I'm just saying, it's an odd coincidence. And it's funny, we all knew all this was, some of us knew this was going on. But, I don't know, it's just odd. The timeline of it all, it's just so convenient. Just so convenient. And given, Fauci was caught on tape coordinating things I don't want to say similar to this, but coordinating disinformation and, these men just hurt people. They just had no regard for human life whatsoever. For any life. And that one hearing with Fauci, not to go too off topic, but when she was going into him for the horrible things that he was doing to those animals, those dogs. Oh my God, it was horrible. And, they were worried because she didn't want to call him doctor instead of, addressing his accountability when he had a bigger responsibility to the people of the United States. Oh, it's infuriating, the lack of respect these people have for us. And they want us to care that they had to answer 5 freaking questions. They want us to care. I've had to answer this to bosses so many times, I can't keep track. What I'm most shocked at was that that this is such an outrage for them. I'm shocked by that. I thought surely they would at least have to do that kind of thing at some point. No. They didn't have to go to their office. What the... This is what we've been paying for? And all the regulations they put on us for everything? Oh my gosh, it's infuriating. You want to talk about the bots? Let's talk about the bots for a minute. For the AOC chick. Oh my gosh, the bots on her are crazy. They're obviously bots sitting there saying, I highly respect AOC. I don't necessarily agree with her woke politics, but I love her integrity. All the comments were variants on that. From supposed right-wing people. It's oh my God. Stop it. Stop it. Integrity? Please. I don't believe in that. If anyone knew what was going on at that border, it was her. She was told millions of times by Tom Homlin, I think that's his name. She was told countless of times. But anywho, I'm getting off track here. Back on to Mayorkas and his crusty weirdo ass. Something interesting too about him. He's a legal immigrant. Not illegal immigrant. He's a legal immigrant. He's here legally. So he didn't get that free pass. Why does he? I don't know. It's just weird. Just the disinformation, the lies they've said that even I've fallen for. I've fallen for some of these lies. Ugh. You just get sick of being messed with and lied to like that. But anywho, yeah, so as far as that, the P. Diddy connection, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. It's very weird. It's very coincidental, all the things that have been happening. There's no coincidences with the deep state. I'm sorry, people who want to control that bad don't just suddenly stop wanting to control everybody. They're going to do everything they can to still keep their control. And that's what we're seeing right now. The blatant lies and the propaganda, Politico. Like that, for example, was just exposed to be receiving money from the federal government. So not only we're paying them to write this crap, but like also we got to pay to read it. It's wild. Like it's wild. It's wild. I'm surprised they even still got a seat in that place. Like what the hell? See, in my opinion, I think they're being like too nice on these people. Like they're like most of them get to go with paid leave. I'm sure not the ones on probation. Why would they? They're on probation. But anywho, but like most of them do get paid leave. Like if in my opinion, I think he's being way too nice. But that's just my opinion. That's why I'm not in office. That's why I'm not in office. But I want to show you a clip of the actual Senate hearing where at least one of these senators has the balls to confront him about the horrible things that he has let happen. So let's watch it.
Happen. The photograph that was before. What are these wristbands?
I don't know what they are.
You don't know what they are. Mr. Secretary, you have just testified to the American people you're incompetent at your job, because I've been to the southern border, and if you go to the southern border, along the southern border, you see thousands of these wristbands because the illegal immigrants wear them. The drug cartels, every color corresponds to how many thousands of dollars they owe the cartels. You have turned these cartels into multi-billion-dollar criminal organizations, and these are modern-day leg irons because these are children being sold into sex slavery. And you don't even know what they are. That is astonishing. Mr. Secretary, how many children have been sold into sex slavery under your administration?
Senator, we are taking it to the cartels.
How many children have been sold into sex slavery? Do you know how many children have been sold into sex slavery?
To an unprecedented degree.
Mr. Secretary, I want to say to you right now, your behavior is disgraceful, and the deaths, the children assaulted, the children raped, they are at your feet, and if you had integrity, you would resign.
But yeah, that's what he wanted to distract everyone from with P. Diddy. That's why I thought it was important to bring up that connection, because that hearing took place just a month after. And keep in mind too, for those of you who's saying, well, maybe he didn't know this was going. No, that's bullshit, because the men raiding P. Diddy's houses, most of them didn't even know they were raiding P. Diddy's house. In other words, the ones at the very top planned this. So I don't believe it's a coincidence that the timelines coincide the way they do. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact, but I'm just saying it's my opinion. And I think we all need to start using a little bit more common sense and stop letting these assholes trick us so much. Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation we were in right now. Maybe you wouldn't have to be whining about answering 5 questions if the people before this administration had done their job and kept us safe. But anywho, the Associated Press, another a political plant. You know they're suing that new press secretary girl. Can you imagine that? Just because she called them out for their lies. Takes a special kind of piece of crap. She has a baby. She's doing her job. She's very professional, in my opinion. Extremely professional. Where was the lawsuits against the other press secretary, who the only word she ever knew to say was, I don't know. Or what was it that she always said that went viral? I don't have it, or I don't know. Like, she said it like 100 times. 100 times. That was wild. But yeah, where were her lawsuits for like all the crap she said? The lies. The straight up lies she said. Anyways, let's get back to the task at hand. The Associated Press, they did an article too. Of course they did. This is what the Homeland Security Secretary has to say about his border record. And this article was published about a month ago on January 13th, 2025. About a week before Trump came back into the office. In the waning days of the Biden administration, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas defended his agency's work to tamp down border crossing numbers and argued against breaking apart the sprawling department in a wide-ranging interview with the Associated Press. Of course he would. President-elect Donald Trump, who promised an aggressive day one effort to stop illegal immigration and remove people in the country illegally, has chosen South Dakota Kristi Noem to take over the agency responsible for border and airport security. Disaster response, protections for high-level dignitaries, and more. She faces a confirmation hearing Wednesday. How border numbers had changed. Let's see if they're honest about it. The number of people crossing the border illegally initially skyrocketed under President Joe Biden before falling sharply last year. But last year, you talk more like the last 4 years. December was the 6th straight month that arrests for illegal crossings were fewer than the monthly average. Wait, what? Where'd they get that information? Since 20... Please. Fewer than... Anywho. Republican critics pointed to the rising numbers to argue that the Biden administration wasn't doing enough to control the border. And many voters agreed this November. Yeah, like in a landslide. Mayorkas argued the increase actually started toward the end... Wait a minute. Toward the end of the first Trump presidency. My God, they blame him for everything. That is so tiring. That is so exhausting. Just, not even if it was just Trump. Just someone constantly blaming somebody else. It's exhausting. And trying to lie and say that the numbers are as good as they've ever been. Trying to lie. Like, what? Sir, stop it. Stop it. Straight up lies. Yeah, I'm gonna... Mayorkas praised what the Biden administration has done to address the rising numbers, including creating safe mobility offices in other parts of the world. What? In the world? Does he mean U.S. territory? In the world? I don't know what he means by that. But, like, what? You mean for America? I don't understand that. And negotiating agreements with other countries to return their citizens. Maybe that's what he means. But, yeah, anywho. It's a multi-pronged, multifaceted approach, she said. Well, it really wasn't that complicated. It only took Donald Trump a couple weeks. So, it didn't seem to be that complicated. And here we go. The Associated Press trying to create more division between everybody. Mayorkas became a lightning rod for criticism about border security and was impeached in early 2024 by Republicans who argued that he wasn't upholding immigration laws. And he wasn't. He was allowing sex traffickers to come across the border. At the time, Mayorkas called those charges politically motivated and baseless. Oh my gosh, I can just, like, oh my gosh, he was so annoying. Like, it's baseless. I can tell you that we had to, like, for just, didn't answer questions. Answered no question. Even the simple ones that wouldn't have even made him look bad, he didn't want to answer. He said it's important to remember the context when the Biden administration came into office. Title 42, the Pandemic Error Rule, allowing officials to quickly eject migrants without letting them request asylum, was still in place. Biden eventually ended the policy, Although Mayorkas said huge pressure existed to keep it over concern that immigration numbers would climb, as they did, historically, more than they ever have. And it's weird. It was punishing the ones who were coming here legally by letting them get raped and kidnapped, the ones who were trying to do the right thing and come here legally, and rewarding the ones who were doing all the crime. That's what their system was set up to do. But yet, when he couldn't blame Trump for the absolute catastrophe that happened the last 4 years, then he pointed to a lack of funding to Congress. Even though it's odd, because they certainly get a lot of funding. A lot of funding. But it was politically torpedoed. Oh yeah, they came up with a bipartisan Senate deal that would have been an enduring solution. Didn't give us any details on it, though. Funny about that. Okay, and one of Trump's key campaign promises is... Oh, here we go. Let's see what he has to say about this, considering, everything that's happened this last month. Mayorkas said he wouldn't judge intended actions by headlines. Although, he noted, headlines can instill fear. Meaning he was trying to insinuate that Trump was trying to scare everybody. But he said promises by the Trump administration to prioritize enforcing removals of migrants who are national security or public safety threats was what DHS is already doing. That's exactly what we have done and what we have focused upon. God. That he is like the most infuriating individual to listen to. He was like worse than Fauci. At least Fauci tried to I don't know. Even if all of his arguments were illogical, at least he tried to provide arguments. This man, however, did not do that. That was not the case. Whatever question he was asked, he made sure to answer something totally different and off the wall. That had nothing to do with the question. But let's see some other numbers that don't come from him. Gangs are sex trafficking women and girls crossing the border. That the ORR, we've already talked about them, is making it so easy for them is an open secret to everyone who is part of the system. One proof point, an NGO operating at the border. Yeah, we've talked about that in other videos too. The U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants started a program in 2022 specifically aimed at helping trafficked kids. Naturally, it is paid for by the Biden administration. Oh, but I thought they weren't acknowledging that. Indeed, like all the NGOs at the border, the organization gets well over 95% of its revenue from the Office of Refugee Resettlement. In its case, $292 million. And of that large amount, only $60 million goes to caring for unaccompanied children, including trafficked children, according to its 2023 federal filing. So, out of $292 million, only $60 million went to caring for what it was supposed to. So where the fuck did the other $230 million go? Where'd that go? They don't say. But yeah, on this hearing, which we already watched the video on this, so I'm not going to read it. We already watched the video. But feel free to read it on your own time. It's to the point now where the word conspiracy theory, the one that it's like, it's not theories anymore. They're straight up conspiracies that have been going on, been plaguing us all, affecting us all for far too long. For far too long. And they've avoided accountability for far too long. So I'm very glad that they are investigating Fauci. I wish there was a way they could hold Mayorkas accountable. Because the biggest, the most, in my opinion, the most damning evidence against him is the fact that, like, if he was new at this kind of thing, that would be one argument. Because, like, because then you could sum it up to incompetence. You know what I mean? And incompetence doesn't mean you're evil. It means you're incompetent. But he had, like, a history of these kind of, like, jobs. Like, let me just say, like, for example, 2009, he was a member of the presidential transition team for Barack Obama, leading the team responsible for the U.S. Department of Justice's criminal division. And then he was appointed by Obama as the director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So he was not new to this, and he was able to do his job previously to this administration. What the fuck happened to this administration where he just let all hell break loose? I mean, I'm not saying the border was perfect when he was doing it with Obama, but oh my God, it was a hell of a lot better than what's going on now. A hell of a lot better. So that, in my opinion, that's like the most damning thing, is that you were able to do your job all the way up until this administration. Like, it's pretty damning. It really smells like an agenda. It really does to me. Between this and Fauci admitting that he wanted to make us all miserable to the point where we would submit and get their poisonous vaccine just so we could live our lives and feed our families, while he's siphoning off, like, our money for his crazy fucked up research. And he is so narcissistic and so sociopathic that he'll at one moment accept the pardon, but then in the other hand say, well, I didn't commit any crime, but I appreciate it. Like, oh God. These people are disgusting. These people are absolutely disgusting. And anybody who trusts any of these mainstream media people, all of them, CNN, Fox News included, you're on that list too. You can gloat all you want, but you're no better. Talk about the missing kids, and then maybe we can give you some credit. But, yeah. They cannot be trusted. They've been hiding this crap, suppressing this crap, this disgusting crap, putting these people on a pedestal, knowing what's going on. If they don't, they're just horrible journalists. They're horrible journalists then. So just keep in mind that all these people that are whining and bitching and stuff, they've all been a part of this system for a long time. You know, and whether they were directly involved or not, even if they didn't know what was happening, I mean, they know now. They know now. So if they're out here advocating for these people and such, like, they're showing you where their loyalties lie. And at the end of the day, they're all human. So, you know, like, don't hold them more superior to anybody else. Nobody, not even me. Like, go check up on all this stuff. I'll have so many links. Like, it is crazy how many articles are. But, like, there will be, like, trying to think of a better solution to all this research. Like, I don't know. I'm going to have to start, like, a website where I, like, paste all these links. Because there's just so many. They won't fit into most of these descriptions. So, but anywho, thank you guys for listening. Have a good day.